All right, and welcome. I want to welcome everybody to the first ever SuckaFish podcast. This little thing that we're doing out here. We are SuckaFish from the Bastion. I'm Don. I'm the host. I'm the head motherfucker in charge around here. With me today, I have Maelstrom. She's our sweetheart from the Bastion. May, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Also with me is the guy who's hosting this whole stream, is one of our big tanks, our man from across the pond, Fury.
Good to be here.
I bring in one of my premier snipers, hoping to give you an idea of a little bit more of the DPS types coming up from Minnesota, Reuven.
Hello?
Wait, Reuven's from Minnesota?
I am from Minnesota.
He is from Minnesota.
I didn't know
Another guy
that.
coming from across the stream is one of our newer guys. I'd like everybody to say hello to Nuka.
What's going on, folks?
And last but not least, man from PA, I bring you the one and only, Maul the Merciless, the man who's always on your mind.
Hey, what's up?
That was again, you were the biggest bro douche ever. I love you.
It really is.
Talk about being awkward, Maul.
I know, right?
You are. You're so awkward.
I want to just start this.
And stuff.
I just want to start this whole thing off. This is our podcast. This is our guild. I bring you anybody from our guild that I possibly can. If you know anything about us, we are one of the premier United States guilds when it comes to SWTOR. We have a few U.S. firsts in TFB, S&V, dating back to a little EC time. We've been holding down the Bastion's progression form since last October. It is what it is over there. We're not as competitive as you'd say Pot 5, but we still rock the boats when it comes out. And this is, this is what we want to do. We want to come on in. We want to talk about SWTOR. We want to talk about what we talk in the guild. And what better way to give better feedback than to get people on the voice, on live, you name it, we'll talk about it. We have PvPers, we have PvEers, I have theory crafters, I even have a bank managers who know how to make the money in this guild. So we always like questions, we always love feedback. You can always be happy to make things awkward when I stuttered around.
I feel like we need a filler here.
We really did. I
you
really
forgot
wanted
that.
to start the whole thing with this is SuckaFish brought to you by Razer. By Razer Gaming Mice. But Razer won't give me any money. So if you're from Razer, please hook me up with some money. I'll be happy to throw your name on everything you can. In fact, I'll even call this guild Razorfish if they'll give me money.
And by extension, him, the rest of us too, because I need a keyboard that doesn't clack so loud.
Yes, everybody would totally appreciate this. I also have somebody who I totally didn't hear when he was first in here. I want everybody to say hello to our Canucka Hooka, Steadfast.
What's going on, eh?
A.
You never say A.
That's really
I know.
He say A more than he says A.
I had to say A once. No, there's
Well,
twice.
so there's your quota for
Don't
this.
worry, he's drinking maple syrup right now.
Look that up then.
Out of a mug.
Fury's the only one that even wants to show live. Wave to the audience, Fury.
I wait. It'll take a moment to go through.
Yeah.
On your end.
So, like I said, this is SuckaFish. We do everything here. We want to give feedback to the community. We want feedback from the community. Hook us up. Tell us what you want. What do you want to hear? What are your complaints about the game, about our guild, about her, about me? I don't really care. The state of your well-being, anything that you want, I really don't care. Just keep it somewhat professional, and everything will be fine. I don't want to hear about your girlfriend's problems down under, and that's because she's in Australia, of course. Just anything at all.
Alright, yeah, Donnie, okay.
So recently, just coming out about 3 weeks ago, I think it's 3 weeks ago now, out on the PTR, they've dropped Oricon. It'll be the 2.4 patch coming out this upcoming October the 5th. It'll bring out the brand new raids of Dread Fortress and Dread Palace, something that we all look forward to, especially if you have raided TFB since last October. And
The actual date is October 5th.
Yes, that is the actual date. That's what they announced back in beginning of August when they first announced that beginning of the summer actually, when they first announced all the nightmares and everything.
So circle it on the calendars. Yeah, circle it on the calendars, get the day off work, and so it's going to be a day-long progression, and we can go to Mordor.
We'll go to Mordor. Yeah, you guys.
We'll have it walk there.
If you guys can get 7 people, I'll rearrange my class schedule and I'll show up. But if not, I'm going to class. I only have so many days I can miss, and I've already missed one for hockey.
I'm going to class.
Yeah. So Oricon's the new planet or given to you. It's off the seat of the Empire. Just I don't know if you really want to say north because you really don't have cardinal directions in outer space. There's none of that out there. But Oricon, it's the home planet of the Dread Fortress, Dread Palace, and your Dread Masters. Master Skylark, I don't think made a return visit. Thank the Lord, he did not come back. There will be no minor setbacks like WoW likes to give us. So I'm looking for feedback. What do you guys think? Let's start with
Steer comes back. He's in the last boss. He's riding a Kell Dragon.
You see, this is what happens when I miss a weekend of raiding. I haven't been around since about Thursday, so that's cool. To hear all of that.
Maul broke the last boss in Dread Palace.
And he soloed the place.
Yeah, he soloed the place, and I and Dilly cleared it last night.
No, it's no big deal. I just soloed Bestia. It's nothing big.
Oh, very nice, very nice.
Basically what happens is you can if you have a leap, like all of the Dread Masters are immune to leaping and damage and stuff like that, except for Bestia because she or he, I don't know, is the start of the fight. And so basically she's leapable and she's not immune to damage. So you can jump up onto the throne with her, and when you're on the throne, you get a debuff called Ignore. And what happens is if you sit on there for long enough, like they'll ignore you for a long enough period of time that they'll just reset. And so since you're on the throne, when she comes back to the throne and you can still damage her, you still have the debuff called Ignore, so you can kill her whilst you're out of combat. And then you push her to the 10% phase, which is where it goes to their channel phase, and they all come down, and they start doing their end phase, and the boss fight is pretty bugged because I'm pretty sure once they get to 50%, that the Styrak and Drontis are supposed to come into the fight. A little spoiler there. Sorry about that. And and so they come in, and I guess you have to fight them too, which I'm hoping that all the other Dread Masters are on the throne, which I got information that they should be, because 6 bosses at once is pretty intense. I mean, you only run 2 tanks, so I mean...
Well, I mean, it's kind of cool because there's the 2 instances and operations that are on Oricon. It's Dread Fortress, which is first, and we think you're gonna have to, get through that before you go to Dread Palace. And then... I think if we're done with the Dreadmaster thing, then we're supposed to fight all the fucking Dreadmasters at once. Don't you think so?
Yeah, it's like I agree with that, but I mean I don't think they all are going to be down in that little platform arena at the same time. Like especially with all the buffs that they give each other, it's insane.
Yeah, because if they're stupid and they fight one at a time like that, they have to be bounced.
Or you have to. I think we have a strategy, but I don't want to give up Dilly's strategy just yet. I'm not going to go and do that.
So do you think it's going to be like a half-hour long fight with
it's going to be somewhere along there. And I don't know about half an hour, but it's going to be definitely comparable to the long fights that they have in the game already.
I don't know if they'd necessarily do that right away, not with a hard mode. Nightmare mode, I definitely see them doing another 15-20 minute fight, much like they did for S&V when you took on Master Skyrak.
You have to see this fight, Donnie. This fight's intense, man.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to run in there sometime this week and knock that thing out. It's not like we have a whole lot of other raiding to do. Not a whole lot left on our schedule and much left on our plate as it stands.
And we're a bit burnt out with the current live raids.
A little burnt out? I'm very burnt out. Not that I don't love not that I don't love TFB. I do love TFB. It's just, you fight the same guys for a year. You start to get a little bored and everything. You're kind of doing a WoW thing with us, giving us Black Temple, Deathwing, something like that for well over a year. How are you going to hold on to your subscribers? And S&V, I'm sorry, that's not my favorite place. You can call it however you want.
Boring.
It is. It's very boring. There's a whole 33 trash pulls for the 7 bosses that are in it, and they are so scripted. There's so little room for actually playing with the whole instance, to actually screw around and whatnot, and to try different things. You have to do it by the way that they designed it. And
Yeah.
I
So,
think
like,
that
one-
takes a big part of creativity out of it. What's up, man?
I was gonna say, so like, what you're basically saying is like, you only have one strategy. So once one person finds out the one strategy, then everybody can just do it, and they don't even have a chance to play around with it. It's not even fun.
Exactly. I mean, especially if you take a look at a couple of the other ones out there.
Everybody makes their own strategy almost, pretty much.
Everybody had a different Kefis strat. Everybody had a different.
Yep.
We had a different Op 9 strat than everybody else. Yeah, no, that's. Everyone had a different Toth and
Time without
Zorn.
anybody.
Tanks
How is
was
our Op
different.
9 strat different than other people's?
It was
Okay.
a while ago. Like,
Have
we
the
changed it
raw
for Nightmare.
Op 9 strat. No one could do our Op 9 strat except for us, remember?
Or our EC Nightmare Kefis strat with the Warriors.
Okay, but that's not like, that wasn't a DPS issue. That's like a healers don't know how to shock issue. Like, it wasn't that hard to heal.
It wasn't that bad.
No, the most fun
I
I've
like
ever
these.
had. The most fun I've ever had in SAV was when we got tauntauns and we gave our tauntauns baths. And then we had the tauntauns and the baby tauntauns out. That was, cause remember, because we were resetting. Why were we resetting that boss so many times?
Which one?
It
The
was
puzzle boss, because it wasn't giving
The
us
puzzle boss?
a
Because we kept getting
configuration
four
we
goddamn
wanted.
artillery droids in the center. I mean, we just kept getting bad puzzles according to Stead. So I had fun sitting out there for a little while, and I was able to get another beer and light a bowl, and I was good to go. It's always nice to get the hookah going again.
Get the. Oh.
I think we should get back to Oricon.
But Oricon
I'm sure
itself,
everyone
I
else
mean,
is fed up with the other stuff
War
as well.
door.
that's the last boss. How are the other three that are in there? I mean, I missed like 3 bosses. Like, I was there for the 4 dropping out. I'll call that the icebreaker boss because that's what it reminds me of. And there was 2 more after that. Like I said, I wasn't here this weekend.
Boss 3 is bugged. The one where it's like you go, there's different phases that you go in. Okay, remember, and like, I mean, not exactly, but like going in portals via the, what was the dragon in WoW? That was by itself. What's the flame walls? When you like went in the side portals and you had to fight things, so there's like the side, you go into like the group splits, and you go into the side portals. So you do that, and you have to like do this like
Channel
objective.
the crystal.
Yeah, you have to channel the crystal. But we did the first 3 bosses with 1 healer in story mode.
Yep.
Well, story mode still drops 69 gear. It's not really considered part of the progression, as they've said multiple times, regardless of what people want to believe. So I'm not too surprised to hear any of that. So it is what it is. I am disappointed in the simple fact that it drops 77 gear. It kind of makes the whole grind through the nightmare modes, pointless.
It makes
Completely.
the gear now obsolete because like we could already do it, so you don't have to be BAS 75. Like we used to like want to be, you know what I mean? BAS. I don't know. I'm not a DPS. I'll take it back.
Well, if I had Gorban here, I'm sure he'd be happy to elaborate for that on me.
Be happy to do that, right?
I said something about the whole gear thing to the guys when they were at the Cantina tour over here in Germany, and he was like, I have an answer for you, but I don't remember what it was. The ops team told
That's
me
helpful.
he was fucking drunk.
Wow. Well, you're in Germany. Why wouldn't you be drunk? I mean, great beer. I go to any country. Why wouldn't I be drunk? Good
He should
lord.
have got drunk after he answered my damn question.
That's true.
Was the food good at least? I've heard that they've sent not a
Yeah, it
bad
was just
spread.
random finger food. German finger food is stupid.
Not the
It's
same.
bad, huh? Kind of like
Yeah,
drifted down.
Yeah, their mill system is weird over here.
Right. So what is it? So Dread Fortress has 5 bosses.
They all have 5
They
bosses.
both do.
They both have 5 bosses.
Dread Fortress is what's playing at the moment, just in the background. Our run from earlier in the week.
Was that our run when we ran with Dilly, or was that our
This is
our first time that we actually
full
got
guild
was in there?
run.
We didn't like. Oh, okay. Because for most of the time we've had a Pugga spot for that. We've taken a pretty neutral healer with us, and we ran with a couple other people in there who did pretty well with us when we made through. We just hung up on the last guy in there.
Boss
What's
2 was bugged.
Yeah, well, yeah, that was bugged. It was kind of fun. I mean, it's interesting to watch things on they're supposed to, but at the same time, once you cleared out all the ads, it was just like it was a huge waiting game. It was really
The
stupid.
Rancor boss was kind of cool. I really liked that boss.
I like,
but it just felt,
I
like
liked it better
it's a
when we
cool
first-
boss, but like it doesn't feel like it's like the idea is completely fleshed out. Like there needs to be another element or something to make it truly difficult, because it's still a little bit chaotic and you can clear it. Like I always feel like things need to be a little bit more focused to be down.
Well, at the same time, you also have to remember it is a hard mode. I mean, I can't really see a whole lot of people taking the progression on this extremely serious, because
True.
most guilds already have S&V and TFB on Nightmare mode. Anybody who's competitive, anyways, is sitting in that ball. And I mean, you're looking at a one-night clear. You're looking at going in and clearing them both out in what, 2 hours, 3 hours tops. I mean, knocking out both of them, because you've already got the practice on the bosses. You know the strats for the most part. Now, they might throw you a curveball in there, and maybe add a little more damage, up the health some, maybe one new ability. I don't really think they will do a whole lot of that, just because I can see where a casual guild would have some difficulties, especially on like the first boss, the second boss maybe.
That first boss would be hard for a casual guild, I think, in Fortress.
But I think that anybody
Fortress.
who,
I think the first
In
boss in Fortress is pretty easy. Like the
Oh,
first
the
boss
first
in
boss
Palace
is
was
the
harder.
She means Palace.
Well, I mean Palace. I mean
Okay.
Palace. Sorry.
yeah, Palace is. I like that one. It's
Yeah, but you know that people would have trouble going in there.
oh yeah, without a doubt, especially if you haven't seen it before. So I can see where they're going with all of that. I have an issue with the gearing for it myself, but at the same time, if you put it out and you don't put out new gear, I mean, why go do it? Like, you go do it the first time, and then I'm just going to go to the place that gives me better gear. I mean, there's no special mount or anything like you have in the Nightmare mode. You have new mounts in both of those. For whatever your opinion is on them, I personally think the one out of TFB looks retarded, but I mean, I got people in the guild that are absolutely thrilled about it, so...
I want the bug one. That has the button. That's the one I want.
I think
I
if
did it
it,
twice. That's so embarrassing.
What's the bug? It's fine.
I want the bug.
I think if they gave out 75 gear like the current Nightmare modes, it would be okay as well, because like the top guilds are like getting close to BIS, but not quite there yet, and like non-top guilds haven't like had a chance to get much of that gear at all, and then the top guilds can just play ults and stuff, which I'm sure everyone has, except from Psych.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so-
I'd rather PvP.
You'd rather what?
I'd rather PvP than play my ult.
Well, then PvP.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, it just cuts down the raid weeks some, which is nice. I mean, I don't necessarily miss 6-day raid weeks. If I wanted to do that, I'd have 20 alts and be happy to run them on 2 to 3 a day, but I
have
don't.
8 people in the
It's
guild.
fun during progression, at least every 4 to 6 months, but
Yeah, I mean,
can't
it's always
do it
fun.
every week.
Well, if you're racing, it's fun. It's not something... I mean, look at how we did TFB the first time. We cleared TFB the next week. We didn't even go in until the following Monday.
Yeah.
And then we only got up to, did up to Dread Guards, and we were like, fuck this, and, went to bed. We just called it for the week after we, went in and 3-shot at that. So, like, that was it. That was our raid week that week, because we were just burnt out from the week before. So, it's not surprising. It's not exactly my idea, but, there are people who are new to raiding, new to the game, and raiding is still new. It's fun. It's exciting. It's the shiny red box that everybody loves and can't wait to see and wants to do more of. So, I can understand that. I think this rate, especially Dread Palace, because I mean, if they're actually watching this, if any dev is out there watching this, which you totally should, because if you do, I'd totally love to have you. I'd love to sit down and talk with a dev, and I'll even be nice. I'll cut back my cursing and everything. But the artist for that place, I mean, hands down, immaculate job. That whole place is beautiful. Both instances are. I think they did such a fantastic job. Stead and I, we went into Dread Fortress one night after we cleared everybody but the last boss, and we were in there just looking for like secret passages and whatnot, seeing if we could see where like secret boss might be spawned or anything. Found a lot of cool crystals and whatnot, and found things that we were just wondering, seeing looking at rubble and whatnot. But if you just sit down and you look at all the details that they put into things, it's really amazing. Like, that's an awesome job.
Just coming to the entrance of where the new instances are is just beautiful.
Oh, I just love the whole planet itself.
The whole planet is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, even what I've done of the storyline, like, I'd have to refer to Reuven because I know he's done the whole thing. I haven't. But, I mean, even the whole, like, quest line for the planet seems pretty cool.
Yeah, the whole quest line itself is really cool, but, like, Dread Fortress, my favorite part about that instance is that puzzle trash between the first and second boss, that whole gatehouse thing. That was my favorite part of that. Makes the trash a whole lot less boring, and just figuring stuff out like that is lots of fun.
It would make a lot of people seem like upset, I feel like, because they'd be like, oh, this is a waste of time, but like when you really look at it, it's really fun, and it's like it just helps you get coordinated, I guess, for the next bosses.
So, I mean, that
we always say too when every time we've gone in there, we've always been like the gatehouse is cleared every single time because that's what it says on the screen.
And it's fun.
You guys are all.
Yeah, I think I missed that one. I don't think I've really paid attention to that.
Like, every time it says that, I always like the gatehouse is cleared. It says it on your screen.
You just got like a title or
yeah.
So that's Oricon for me. I mean, anybody else can, chip in on that.
It's the storyline for the quests.
Yeah, it's a storyline for the quest. I think a couple of the bosses are nice. It's nice to see that they had some bosses in there that AoE damage will be much more beneficial for classes such as, like, Sorc DPS and, like, Bounty Hunter DPS. I mean,
we're talking about that later.
Like, AoE damage is just... It's nice to see that it's actually somewhat viable, where before it's... I mean, when can you really use AoE damage? A whole lot. There just really wasn't a whole lot of places to use it at, and to be able to maximize your own numbers.
Yeah, and like as far as the quests go on that planet, the whole planet itself was utilized very well for the dailies, and it's got a kind of cool twist on it as far as going into the quest leading up into Dread Fortress, and I wish I had been able to complete Dread Fortress to finish that. You get a little cool mount as a reward from there. Another reputation grind, I guess, but...
Well, that's for you guys. I'm not much of a reputation type person. I did that whole grind back when it was the Argent Dawn, and Cenarian Circle and all that, so that can be you guys. There's nothing wrong with it. I can understand the whole standpoint, especially all of those guys out there collecting achievements. Good on you. I'm glad you can put the game time in and make the most of the game that they've given you.
Stead, the mount you're talking about is the one with Tauntaun with the very big horns, right?
The battle Tauntaun.
That's a pretty amazing mount, but you have to be legend standing, if I'm not mistaken, with a new Oricon rep, so that would take a few weeks before anybody can get that.
Maybe if Luke would have had a battle Tauntaun, he would have gotten his ass kicked on Hoth.
Well, Dak definitely wouldn't have died.
Well, if that's the case, then
That's
you should go.
true.
You should go see Battle of Ilum, and if you find the right crevice when you're going through the tunnel after the first boss, you'll find Luke's dead Tauntaun and him laying in it.
No, you will not.
Yes, you will. I don't think it's supposed to be Luke. It's just another person sitting in I think it's flight gear. I could be wrong, but they definitely have somebody who had opened up Tauntaun back there. Haro showed it to me. Whew. Long time ago, back when the game first came out.
That's kind of cool.
It really was.
Okay, so one thing I thought that we should talk about, because it's a thing that I think one of the best things about our guild and our progression team is our... Okay, you touched on it earlier about how the fights have more AoE damage, like that they are rewarding different classes by letting us bring in people like Sword DPS that have that strong AoE with lightning. And then, but on the other hand, too, like that you're enabling Smash for PvE. Like that's the other aspect. You could have totally done that first off in Smash.
Yeah, and I think I did even. I think our clear was done in Smash as well. So on the
Got
hard
done in
mode.
Smash too, actually.
Is this going to change ideal comp? Because at the same point, too, you look at PT 2.4 PT DPS.
I think it's just gonna change. I think it's just gonna be like burst. I think it's just gonna be burst AOE. Like no matter what your comp is, they're just gonna have to have their AOEs ready.
Is it going to change anything?
I think that you'll see slight changes. I don't know if it actually changes it as much as maybe it opens it up. I mean, before, like our comp, we always ran 2 Marauders, a Sniper, and a
Merc.
Merc. So, and to me, that always seemed like ideal because you have the Merc who's, no matter what, he's going to put up Tracer. Because they always ran Arsenal, and it was just until, just recently, in the last, month or so, is when they've actually opened up the whole Merc tree for, more of a variety for playstyle. But you always had that. So if you didn't have a Jug Tank, you always had your armor debuff. So you didn't have to worry about the Sniper having to put it up. And Marauders, I mean, you're looking at double Thirst right there. I mean, and if you run Marauders like, we run Marauders, and I'm sure other guilds run them pretty close to what ours run. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? You have double Thirst, you're able to push your numbers a little bit more.
Great
I really
cooldowns.
didn't see a boss where, I didn't really see a place where a Marauder wasn't, extremely useful. They have awesome defensive cooldowns with just about everything that they did. And then, snipers always put out a great amount of DPS. They had they had some AoE ability depending on their specs, and they could play with that some without really having to change gear. And that left freedom open for your tanks and whatever your healers were going to be. I think that just kind of opens it up now where you can bring in more classes and whatnot to, do different things. I mean, it doesn't limit you as far as what a raid team might look like if you're going for things for the first time and whatnot. So I think it could be a good thing. I could definitely see it, especially like second boss in Palace in Fortress.
Fury, what do you think about, like, for tanks? Do you think that any of the fights favor certain tanking classes? What we saw?
Well, I haven't done them all. I've only done the 4.
If you wanna, I know one fight where Lace, Raptus, Lace, he's on his Jug, and it really that fight kind of really favors Jugs because he was taking like so little damage compared to our Power Tech tank, and he was just like.
Oh.
But have you looked at their
Power
cooldowns?
tanks.
Have you looked at their cooldowns? I mean, like, good lord, I don't understand how like a Jug takes any damage. You have so many cooldowns, so many different ways of like throwing things up.
And he was alternating his cooldowns, and they were swapping
Which you
on
should be
the
doing.
cooldown alternations. Yeah, no, but this boss does serious amounts of damage, man.
So
Because the buffs weren't working, so we were like taking crazy damage.
I mean, whereas Sin, Sin is supposed to, their big, dropping point is supposed to be like, they don't have the mitigation, they don't have the armor mitigation because they were light or whatever. But, I'm sorry, running with Fury, I'm not a healer, I'm just the other tank. I don't really look at his life as much as I look at anybody else's, but he seems to take a hell of a lot less damage than, definitely I do. Definitely looked like he took less damage than Puddles did when I was watching streams and whatnot.
He definitely appropriately rotates his buffs and cooldowns.
I personally believe Assassins are by far the best tanks in the game. They can derp anything that comes out there. Like Scream, they can Shroud, and Puddles, they can Shroud. The mother-in-law shows up at the house, all of a sudden surprises you, and you Shroud. I mean, what can't they do?
I think Jugs are the best like main tank when you only have one boss, because their cooldowns only have, their debuff buff style thing affects themselves more with their 5% damage reduction buff they get, rather than a 5% damage reduction debuff. So I think running a Jug and an Assassin is like the best comp for an all-round situation.
I agree.
I
As
think
the healer-
PTs are a bit lacking in cooldowns at the moment. Like, they need something like Shroud or Saber Reflect to bring them in line. Their mitigation's still fine, like, where it should be on the damages. Perfectly
What
good.
about my mitigation?
When you think about it, like I wish that power attacks were cooler because I always think about Clone Wars, and I always just think about like if I was a power tech, what I would be like. And like it's a cool idea, like energy shield, like but like they have to. They have the two things, and both of those things are not that awesome.
Whoa. I mean, you can't really knock Oil Slick. I mean,
Okay, you can't really knock Oil Slick.
Oil Slick's pretty badass, and it's only a 1 minute cooldown. I mean, can't really knock that, unless, of course, you leave it up on accident when you're facing TFB and the ads walk through it. Then it's not so great, but, I mean... I've
Yeah,
always
Donnie,
been
you and that
fan of
fight, though, just don't get along.
I really hate that fight. I really wish you guys would kill the fucking ads a lot faster.
I
I
know.
don't sit there and, like, cringe and lose hair. I mean, I understand that, like, I've grown it out and it looks pretty good right now, but, I mean, I'm not trying to go back to, like, my military look. Ugh.
Well, yeah, well, I debilitated that stupid thing for you. I was hard. I shipped it.
Backstabs in there
I
getting crazy.
backstabbed you even.
Fair enough. But, so, trying to find this whole...
And we don't have.
Well,
It's all easy to heal. I don't know. It wasn't. It didn't ever seem particularly complicated or. Who did I heal it with? Who did I heal Dread Palace with? Psych. Psych, and I healed it. It wasn't particularly hard.
Well,
It was like that
guild
was-
2 bosses.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, that was like...
Right on. So also with 2.4, they're bringing out your 4v4s, taking away your 8v8s. Now I don't really PvP myself. I have other things to do. I don't even really like to get out and raid certain raids during the week. What's up? What's going on with the whole 4v4s? I mean, Stead, May, you guys have done it out on the PTR. I believe Fury has too.
Oh, it's so fun.
I mean, the 4v4s is one thing. The bigger thing that everybody is concerned about is that they're taking away 8v8s. Like,
the
and that's
8v8s was what our server has thrived on for, well, since preseason. Preseason 1 has been going on
So last
forever.
July.
Yeah, if they would have done like any input into the 8v8s whatsoever and just tried to balance them and make more people want to do 8v8s and not just getting rolled by the premier teams because there's no one else really queuing. And now what they're doing, even the solo queue, adding the 8v8 solo queues would have helped keep 8v8s alive, but so hopefully that helps the arena scene out, but
Well, when they released APA, they said they didn't want to do solo queue because it was too much relying on the other members of your team, but that's quite frankly a load of crap because it'll eventually show through that you're affecting the game if you play enough.
Well, they said that the numbers are that 1% of the population that PvP does AV, right?
Okay, but 1% of the population does anything.
I agree. 1% of the I would say that 1% of the population does PvE progression rating. Like, only 1% of the people that do PvE content are, Suckafish, Drop It Like It's Hot, Severity, Carnage, those types of guilds. Right?
I mean,
But
there's
the
only
PvP
160
argument,
Mag
though,
Guild
is
I
that
know of.
they say that they can't, they say that they can't support 8v8s anymore. If they're going to do arenas, that's what they told Nuka, right? Nuka?
Yep. 1% or 1.5% of the whole PvP population. And they said they didn't have enough people to give it the time to, I guess, maintain it while they were bringing out this new content with the 4v4 arenas. But I mean, if they just applied the 4v4 arena matchmaking system to the AVA, it would have. I feel like it would have made it a little easier for random people to queue.
But the PvP argument is, why don't they take out like KP and EV then? Like, how many people does it take to maintain KP and EV?
Yeah, exactly. And they said we hate removing content from the game. It was just a fuck up on their part.
See, I just don't understand why if it's already in the game, if it's already there, why take it out? I mean, if somebody wants to play with it, if somebody wants to use it, if server wants to make use of it, let them. What's the
But
big
they're
deal?
saying that they can't maintain it. They can't leaving it there is too much, is apparently what it is.
I guess I'd like to know what they mean by that. So,
As in, like, server issues, or
I know. I am the last. I don't know. You're asking
balancing,
me.
because they're not balancing it anyway.
they don't balance anything. I mean, it takes them, 5-6 months in between
To
things
balance
just
what?
to balance anything.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
oh,
the
okay.
classes.
We just had a discussion about how all of these classes are going to be viable, so how are you going to say that they're not balancing things?
Because they haven't been, or some of these things, when you look at a progressive standpoint, haven't really been viable since, April?
Well, okay, but they had to make other things viable that weren't viable before. Like, there's things that
But that's
are
not
obviously
balancing.
have never been viable.
But
like,
that's not a balance, all right? When you're balancing, you're trying to put everything around the same playing field. Now, I'm against the whole conversation that, any class should be able to kill any class. And I agree. If you have two really skilled people, you're going to have a great fight no matter who you're looking at, 1v1 type look. But when you're looking at different group comps and whatnot, that is just, it's very difficult to be able to pull and to move things around and to keep it in that same, format. So why can't they just, okay, we have these guys sitting here, so we just trickle up, drop a few numbers, change an interrupt, change a cooldown, change the way something works, instead of just throwing it out and trying to rewrite the book. It's not balancing by saying, well, you've been nerfed for the last 6 months, we are going to make you OP for the next 4. That's not balancing anything. It just shifts your gameplay. Now, instead of playing an assassin during this period of time, you move over to a marauder instead, because of numbers.
Some people do the whole bottom thing, like.
I think what Donnie's saying is they're not
character.
balancing, they're redesigning.
Exactly.
So they're like taking a new crack at getting the class to work by changing the way it plays rather than making minor tweaks to actually bring it in line. And well, they have been quite reasonably successful with the redesigning, but it's still not balancing.
It's just not, to me, it doesn't seem balanced when you're trying to do things of that nature. And I understand that it's got to be difficult because any game that has both PvP and PvE, it's nearly impossible. You're going to throw a 4v4 into that. I see that just making it that much worse. WoW, one of the best things WoW ever did was one of their biggest downfalls whenever it came to class balancing is when they brought in arenas. Because now you no longer have PvP and PvE. You have 2v2s and 3v3s and 5v5s. Now you thankfully they only have one form of arena style matches. They have the 4v4 time type deal where if you don't get it in X amount of time, walls cave in on you. I don't understand that myself, but I think that's, you're kind of taking the aspect out of the game. Unless, they're just worried about full stealth team going in there and hiding in the corner.
What some of the newer games are doing is like separating it with a completely different system for PvP.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's like pretty much the smartest way to possibly do that, to be honest. Because like back then, what I feel like they did for Jugs is they put time on the extra time on Thundering Assault, so you can't like spam smash, because you know how like they gave it so that you could smash and like lose the cooldown on your smash so you can smash again. Like they added like extra time to certain abilities on the Juggernaut because of that. So they basically tried to balance PvE and PvP again, like there.
Any opinions on them opening up everything as far as the whole free to play?
What do you mean, opening up everything?
Well, supposedly, I mean, and I could be completely misreading this when I read it off their forums, but as far as PvP, they're going to remove all the restrictions as far as PvE in the game for free-to-play players.
So free-to-play people can do the new ranked.
Correct.
Because that's the only thing you
That's
can't
how it
do
read.
is free to
I
play.
could be wrong. Well, it's
Yeah,
also.
and there's
I
also
mean, I
a
think
no
it's
limit
BS that they
on how
limit
many.
it to how many matches that they do every week. I think, especially because I think it's like 5. I mean,
Yeah, it's a really low. It is only 5. It's a little crazy.
that's a little. That's very crazy.
The PvP community, and I say this like not the PvP community. Godars told me the other night that they are pretty sure that BioWare hates PvPers and is actively trying to sabotage the community.
You see, I have a hard time with that because, and once again, he wasn't there during the development of the game. He came in well after. He came in during last summer. Jeff Hickman. Jeff Hickman is the executive producer, and yes, I'm doing a plug just for you, my man. He worked customer support for Dark Age of Camelot, and if you play DAOC, I mean, there was no game out there that has ever compared World PvP to DAOC. The way that they did it was just fantastic. Warhammer, he was the EP for that game. Utter failure within the first 90 days. But even that one was really focused in on PvP, and this game, none. Like, you don't even run into people in the open world. There's like 6 zones in the entire Star Wars universe that you could possibly run into people.
Well, at like events and things, you'll run into people and sometimes have some action.
Okay, I'll accept that. They need to do more
Yeah.
events then.
Yeah, that Ilum event's lots of fun. Like the new achievements they added with it, albeit a little bit grindy. It's always fun running around with an orb, trying to explode and see if you can get people and fighting people one-on-one, and even ganking to try and get the orb kills that you need for that. That
Especially
achievement.
when you run into a group of like 10 of them that are low and slash stuck and get your achievement in like 2 shots.
Yeah, that or the exploding the orb through force barrier. That was always entertaining.
I think the bounty hunter event thing was one of their weaker ones.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's just a little bit of a grind. There's not like no interaction really between factions and stuff. And I don't know, there's just not a whole lot. There's a lot to do in that event, but it can be done in less than a week. So, other than the grind, prep grind.
Well, you guys all told me that I didn't want to do it, that I would be bored, and then I found out
You
that
would.
there was a cool hat. But I want the hat.
The Cad Bane hat.
Yeah, I want
Cad
the
Bane hat is pretty fam.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that much to get that far, though.
After running it
No,
through
you don't.
15 tunes like 3 or 4 days in a row.
Yep.
It's not like my Dwed tooth that who knows how long it'll take me to get the required.
Well, that's just to get Dwed Tooth. I mean, let's be
That's
honest.
a lot. That's
Not
a lot
really.
of dailies, Donnie.
A lot of daily. Not
Donnie.
really. I mean,
And for May, who maybe does one run
mean-
of that a week.
oh well, then that's
Take
one
her
more
a
than
year
I
to
do.
get it.
I haven't done
A
daily since.
week?
How
Try
many
a
times
month.
do we do a daily? Yeah, once a month. And I
think
have
a month
2
a month
Dwed
is
tooths.
Yeah, you do.
I have 2 Dwed tooths.
I mean, I don't run any dailies.
I know. I
I
hate
make
them.
all my money in I make all my money in operations. Like I log in, I do operations, and then I turn in crap, and then I sit in front of the G Bank until you guys need something.
PvE
while I-
pays PvP addiction.
While
Yeah.
I go and do something else on another screen. I mean, that's all I do.
I need dailies, man. I'm poor now.
We'll go do dailies then.
The most fun I've had with dailies was like shortly after the game released when there was like 10 people doing them. Just
Yeah.
gearing up for flashpoints when you actually did it through that.
Oh, the good old days.
Now, I wouldn't call them good. I'm sorry. I hate Belsavis just for that one fact that I had to go there and it took so long to do the dailies out there. It took like 45 minutes or like 30 minutes
No,
or crap like
it took
that.
you
I
like
hated
half
that.
an hour with a good
Ilum was
group
the best.
at most.
Ilum
Ilum
was
was
the
the
best.
Ilum was the best because that was quick and it was in a nice big circle and everything made sense and the world was right.
I used to do Ilum dailies with Haro.
Yes. I actually talked to him not too long ago. It was good to hear
Cool.
from him. He said that he'd stop in sometime. I realize sometime for him could be next, July. So
Paco.
Paco is actually just wrote something. Paco, if you're out there, I doubt you are, but Paco just made chief in the Navy. If you're in the military, that's a huge achievement. It's something
Hooray
that
for Paco!
it's something that an enlisted man works his entire enlistment for is to make E7 in the Navy. Some do it in 10 years, some never do it in a 20-year span. So it's a huge achievement for him. So if you can swing by his Facebook, shoot him a congrats and all that. ATC Paco is what he goes by. Well, ATC Santiago is what he goes by. We just call him Paco because of an old joke. So,
If you want to make E7 quick, join the army. They'll give it to any idiot.
well, I almost thought about that, but that's a story for a different day.
We should have a enlisted men of SWOTOR episode. Our entire
Enlisted
fucking
men?
guild can be on it.
I was gonna say if they're gonna do that, I mean, I gotta bring in
I'm gonna
Zach
come
and
to it wearing
I
only
need
a Crown
Gorband in
Royal
here,
bag.
myself, Nuka. Good
We'll
lord.
follow that with the chicks of SWOTOR.
Chicks, so it's gonna be
Weak.
what, you and Rosalie?
No.
Y'all can also come only wearing a Crown Royal bag.
I mean, I'll talk to Ray or something. I mean, maybe she'll come on and say hi. I don't know.
What? That's such a nice question, Gadars. What a nice grown-up question that is.
What?
Actually, I think the most asked question so far has been, "What the fuck is on Ruben's head?"
Yeah, I would agree with that.
What is?
And personally, I want to know as well. Like, is that his hipster look? Like, did he just grab
No,
a bandage and
no,
throw it
no,
on,
no,
or
no,
was
no,
this
no.
in a hospital look?
That's in a hospital look. So a little background is I have epilepsy, and this was during a time where I was still figuring out my medication and whatnot. So I was taking regular trips to the hospital, and what they ended up doing was they glued about 30 electrodes all over my head, and they had me stay up for 24 hours straight with that thing, and all that headband looking thing was just there to keep the electrodes on my head and in place until the glue dried. And that's pretty much it. Taking them off was a lot worse than putting them on because it would rip the skin off your scalp and it would bleed, and it was a pain in the ass.
It's interesting that that's the picture that you picked, Ruben.
Yeah,
Whatever.
Ruby.
I stand by that too. That's
Whatever.
He's like, "Let
It's an
me rip
interesting
30
chick.
electrodes off my head, and I'll take a picture."
because I got a bro picture. I got Fury
Oh,
just
yeah.
with everybody on screen.
A bro picture.
The broiest picture of
It is a
brodom.
bro picture. How is that not a bro picture? I got Nuka trying to act.
He could
all
have the bro
cool
picture he
straight
has
out
in
Denver,
Skype.
and he's not from Denver.
It's a Champ Bailey jersey.
Yeah,
What's up,
I
Georgia?
know. Yeah, go Georgia. Go Dogs. Good weekend for them. I got May, who's, I don't know if that's a sad face, a disappointed face. It looks like you took that picture on
It's the duck
accident,
face.
to be honest.
I just took that picture. Like
She didn't have the duck lips though, so
I thank you
that
for
doesn't
that.
count.
Now, I
I didn't
thank
have
you
fake
for that.
fun.
I think that's the dumbest look ever. And then
Right. Why are we playing?
my
this?
picture is
Talk
between
about it.
me and Haro. That's me and him in Ireland. It was a good time. With a violinist. Or fiddle. Whatever they want to call it.
Don's picture says, "Let's get wasted."
And actually, I probably was by then. If it was Ireland, I drank from about the time I got out of bed until I laid down somewhere. So,
I thought that was a requisite to be.
Which one are you? Are you on the left or right in that
I'm
picture?
on the left.
Okay.
The other guy, that's Haro.
Our former jug tank.
Our former jug tank officer.
Number one jug tank in my heart.
Oh,
Forever. Always.
but he's Haro had to go away for a little while. Work got a little stress for him. He had some girlfriend problems. He's got a new girlfriend. Looked beautiful. I only talked to him once in the last year, so I know he is doing well. I just know that he's busy too. Working in the restaurant as a cook, I guess I understand all that, especially when we laid. Doesn't always
Donnie.
match up. I'll quit talking about him.
Yeah. Good question.
Do what?
Yours question is, this is so try hard. What is the one important quality a successful PvE progression guild has that makes them successful?
That's easy, me.
I said love hugs, kisses, and
I need a definition for successful.
Oh, that's I like Maul's answer.
What, me?
No, Maul, read your
I didn't
answer.
catch them.
My answer is love, hugs, kisses, and maelstrom.
No, that's definitely not the key to our success.
I am totally the key to your success.
And key to my success for recruiting, I'll agree with that. You running into a wall during the middle of Dread Guards and telling me that you're LOS.
Donnie, you need to stop it. First of all, that was a traumatic experience for me. Do you understand how much hate I get on the internet because of that stupid fucking fight?
Hey, I don't know. I'm just piling it on. I mean, once the shit piles begins, you might as well just add a little bit more manure before you light it on fire.
I would, in answer to Guda's question, I'd probably say it's mostly down to individual skill of the members, knowing their role, knowing how to adapt, and putting out the correct
Well, I
rotations
think
and
it's
stuff.
Adaptation, definitely there. I mean, definitely people doing what they're supposed to. Bill Belichick said it the best a couple years ago when he was talking about losing a couple of his players. And they asked him, well, you just lost two of your best linebackers. How do you plan to move forward? And he looked him in the eye and he said, I don't need the best players. I need the ones that work. And that's pretty much how we run it. I get the players that work. I get the players that mesh well with each other, that know their roles, the ones that learn, the ones that are constantly learning, that are competitive within each other. I think that leads to a lot. It's all up on the individuals to push the guild in which way.
There is no ego in our guild, really. Really, within our guild, amongst each other, there's very little. Against our progression team, there's very little ego.
So
It's
I would
more
go-
empty on my part. Fucking Ruben, god damn it.
I'll actually address the question that I saw earlier when it asked, why has Suckafish? Why are they not Dragon Slayers? And I know what, I'll take the whole blame on that. As the GM, as the HMIC, I'd put that load on my shoulders. We're not that way because, we did the initial progression, and then the following week, did we go for the timed run? I'd say yes, we did. We started off on the timed run, but at the same time, being realistic about it, we knew we weren't going to get it. We swapped Puddles out for myself, and I think May, you got in on more fights, or you swapped. I'm pretty sure because Avad finished up the raid with us the first time.
I was on vacation, so I missed. I hadn't seen Styric. I had Fair. I hadn't seen Styric. No, I agree. It's not. No, we know. And then we had a guild to run. We had people that.
I had
needed
people
to see
that
the
wanted to
fights.
get in and wanted to see the fights. Because we did go for it the week after. We got beat out by Hatred. Hatred, they knocked us out of that whole thing. And then, I mean, no offense, we kind of lost the drive for it at that point. I'm not saying that we didn't go for it, but you could definitely feel like the drive from people were just not there anymore.
Well, we did go for
really
it that
pushed
one
it.
week and had multiple DCs.
Yeah, that has been a thing
Couldn't
that's
have been
plagued
from
us recently.
Maelstrom.
No,
Shut
couldn't have
up.
been from Maelstrom. I want to say, Avad had a couple DCs before. I mean, but to me, that's kind of that's like kicking
RNG.
rocks. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
RNG.
you're kicking rocks if you're gonna say, oh well, we got DC. That can happen to any guild out there, and I'm sure that other guilds, when they were going through it, probably ran into a similar type of an issue. We tried getting more people in. Then we decided to split up the group. That way we could get in more people. Then we refocused again to try to get the timed run. And I wasn't there for that. So it's just like no kidding. Like the last 2 months for us has really just been like a lot of BS raiding. Like we've been getting gear and whatnot. We've been going in and clearing things. It's just we didn't really take the whole summer seriously after the progression. We just kind of like kick back and relax. On the other side of that, if you take a look at Drop It Like It's Hot, they were the first clears in both TFB and SNV. They don't have one either. To those guilds that stepped up to the plate, took the challenge, I mean, my hat's off to you. I mean, without a doubt, you earned it.
Congratulations.
No, it is. I mean, it's definitely an achievement. It's a long raid, especially SNV is. A lot of long fights, 15-minute, 10-minute, 12-minute fights. So, for stepping up to the plate and meeting the challenge, you have all the right in the world to EP, and you have all the right to, flex the muscle and everything. Congratulations. You can call it wishy-washy, call it whatever you want. I've seen some titles mean more than others. Like, if you look at the whole TFB progression, I don't think that the timed run meant a lot to the TFB progression as much as I'd say any pre-nerf Dreadguard kill. The few guilds that did it, I believe Hatred killed them. I know Drop It Like It's Hot did. We did. And I want to say there was somebody else who killed it along the same times. I think Revenge, before they became 7-stuck. They got it. So, once again, hats off to anybody who was able to pull that off. And I'm still looking for BioWare. I want my Mathletes or my Math Busters title. I think that's something that we should totally be there for. What other questions do we have?
They can be. Ask questions to like the whole guild or to individuals if you want.
Yeah, I mean,
Against no.
I was gonna say, right? Hateful Entity. We've done one attempt on it, to be honest. We went in and did like kind of a half a night, and we didn't even bring in everybody. Like Gorband wasn't there, Steadfast came in late, Tig used the amulet on the wrong person, so we had to go get another one.
Then plagued by a DC.
And then the person who had the amulet DC.
I mean, it was just
For
one of those
hours.
nights. That was the video game gods looking down upon us saying, done.
Yeah,
I don't
we
think
are
we
fine.
have 16
We made
members
Adam
of a
easy
top
get
quality
on.
though.
Yeah, even at this point, we, like Fury just said, we can't do it anymore. Not as
I'm
a
kinda-
full guild run.
I'm looking to Severity Gaming for that one. I mean, you're the 16-man guild. You're the only 16-man guild that I know of that still rated that way.
Whoa.
That's I
Intrepid's
guess.
up there.
Intrepid is out there. They're making a run. I don't want to sound negative, but I'll wait to see what they do before I throw them up there with SG. I think that SG, without a doubt, is probably, the standard right now for the 16-man. Even though progression through there seems slow, I think some of that has to do with the lack of 16-man guilds pushing them. I think if they had more competition, they'd push better. So
We tried 16s. It's hard.
16th, I think certain parts.
We're
of
on a
16th would be
PvP
difficult.
server. We don't
Ugh.
have the highest PvE pickings.
Yeah, not a lot of people want to transfer to us. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Well, if they
That
transfer and don't get in, then there aren't a lot of options for them.
Well,
Gotta
there's
fork out money to
unnecessary
give back.
birth. I mean, they're not a bad
They kind
guild.
of dropped a bit off the radar lately, though.
From what I've heard, is they've had some internal problems. Hopefully, they get that straightened out and fixed, and
Best
push
of luck
forward.
to them.
Yeah, they recently had a big chunk break off and reform an old guild, from what I've heard.
Yeah, they're gonna get server first for that guild too.
We'd better watch out.
Whatever happened to that guild potato? Does anyone ever remember them?
I don't even know that name.
Well, I can say, as I baked a good potato the other night, put a little, sour cream.
Bacon bits?
No, I don't have any bacon bits, dude. I get all my bacon from a farmer down the street. I'm very cautious using that type of thing from.
Well,
Well,
you can make your own bacon
I think-
bits. Just
I
cut
think,
up
like,
some
they're-
bacon.
I
main
this conversation went in the
players
wrong direction. What? Zach Ryder has a question. What past MMO? This Donnie was going to answer this question. What past MMO fight would you like to see the mechanics of in SWTOR?
Past MMO fight?
Mechanic, like what mechanic from an old fight?
Whew,
Donnie.
I'll take anything where the roof caves in, to be honest.
I
I like that. It puts
I
a
guess
strain
something
on the
else.
healers.
Okay.
It's got a nice place for it. There's definitely many of times that you can see something of that. I think any time where you're trying to put a little bit more strain on your DPS to not only maximize their numbers, but to mitigate their own incoming damage for a fight, I mean that's multitasking, and I think that really, I think that
Nowadays-
makes a better gamer out of you.
Remember,
Nowadays,
Two.
they think pushing the heals makes it a harder fight. One
that
that
is
they do
true. They
nothing
just make
else.
things harder to heal.
Well, I'm not saying that necessarily. You shouldn't make things just harder to heal. You should make healing. Healing's always been a troubling thing because you either spam heals on somebody to keep them at full health because they just take an insane amount of damage. I can think of hundreds of fights like that, or you have to play with it some, so it takes a little bit more thought, or you AoE spam everything, and then you just have somebody heal the tanks. This game, I thought, did a decent job evening all that out, at least for the 8-mans. 16-mans, I'm not really the person to speak on them. I've only done a handful of them.
Okay, what was that fight in WoW? And you were in the cave, and then there was like the different things that you had to. Okay, but the mage used to have to like tank one of them. Remember?
Oh, that was High King Bolt. He Cross Fire Hands is the boss that the mage had to fight, and that was High
Right, but
King.
that like that
Bulwark?
mechanic where there has to be like different
Different
tanks or like different classes, like you know what I mean, like having something where like a ranged has to tank it, things like that.
Yeah, that was the
Because
first
even,
boss
like-
in Crow's Lair.
Yeah,
was a
like
very fun
that's
fight.
what I was saying. That's what I'm saying. I like
I
that.
liked-
That was like my
I-
favorite.
We used to, when they used to summon the demon dog out, we used to enslave it and turn it on the boss.
Yes.
And we'd
I
even
used
take him
to-
down the hallway. We'd always lose him before we get to Gruul, but that was always a fun fight.
That mechanic. Or my
Yeah.
question: did I get? Oh no, we're going back to that.
Go back to the other question. I think something needs to be said about mind control, because everyone loves killing someone on their own team.
Yeah, mind control was fun.
We'll
Why
see.
is there not like an ability for mind control? Madness spec. Should I ask Sir Cake Sphere's question?
What?
Well, you addressed him already, so you might as well.
Yeah, go for
I was
it.
going to say.
Hey, do you ever get that ESO stress test, or did you get permanent blacklisted? I did get that ESO stress test. I played the other night. It was fun. I actually made, instead of making a dark elf, I made a Nord. And I actually grabbed, instead of grabbing, okay, because last time when I did it, I accidentally grabbed like a bow and arrow, and I wanted to be a sorcerer. This time I checked all the weapons racks, and I found the sorcerer staff, but then I accidentally got this restoration staff, so I'm a fucking healer, even though I didn't want to be a
And
healer.
this is about Star Wars.
Well, he asked the question, so I'm
No, it's a
saying-
guild thing. It doesn't have to be about Star Wars.
I'm just messing
I'll
with
answer
you.
questions about Syria. I don't care.
In your
your-
eyes, why did
In my
Border-
eyes, why did Border leave?
Border was not. Our progression team was very close, and there were a few players, Border being one of them, who was the next in line for a spot, and there were times we couldn't get him in because the reality situation was it was who were we going to take out to put Border in? Ruben, and then that's the answer, Ruben, and I will say that I believe that Ruben is a stronger sniper.
Riven's more raid aware, I think.
Exactly.
The DPS is similar though.
We liked Border. He's a good guy. Still is.
Writes
Wonderful
amazing
player.
guides.
He is. He's a wonderful player. He's
Yeah.
plays extremely well. Loved his class. Makes a lot of helpful videos. Very helpful as far as the whole guild situation goes. He had mentioned himself that the whole time thing. He comes home. He goes straight into raid. He didn't like it. He said, "I thought that he kind of let in that we raided too much. I don't really see how that is it a factor. So maybe that's a
No,
misinterpretation by me."
Yeah, he was telling me the
So-
other day it wasn't enough rating.
And if that's the case, then I agree with him. We had a couple people who I talked to who were thinking about coming in, and they said that they wanted to raid, 5-6 nights a week, and I just told them we don't raid that often. We just don't raid that often.
Really, really tight back in the potato days, I guess.
Until you unfriend him on Facebook.
And he told you that?
Of course.
Yeah.
You unfriended him on Facebook? Wow, that's a
Scumbag.
bro
Such a
move.
bro move.
Well,
I think another factor was he wanted to do 16 mans,
yeah.
and we're not really in that position
And
to
basically,
do.
because I used to raid a lot, and that's why he would hang out with me, because I would always be raiding, and he would always just be like wanting to tag along with me and raid.
So we miss him, and I wish him nothing but the best. I really do hope his game experience now is better than what it was with us, and nothing but success. I always look forward to watching his new videos and reading his theory crafting. Although I'm not a sniper and I don't understand a damn thing that he writes, but other snipers do, so therefore they must be good. Just because I don't understand it, that's just kind of the way it is.
Because if he was saying rapid shot, then Don would understand it.
You say, yeah, because I don't even have it on my bar.
No, I'm just saying, because like if it was a bad guy, then you would get it, because it would be easy to understand.
One last question before we do other things.
I was gonna say one last before I get ready to wrap this whole thing up.
No Moss questions.
None? Well, you can always
Okay.
find us. Can somebody go ahead and post the guild website? Actually, I think it's right there in the link. You can come to our website. You can say hi. Right now, our shop box is closed. It will probably be opened up here shortly. Our forums are open, though, and you're allowed to say whatever you want. Or say whatever you want. You can come in, say you hated the show, you think that I talk too much. You can say that, Maul is too much of a bro. Reuven looks funny with his head. I mean, say whatever you want. Doesn't make a difference to me. We love feedback.
Don't be mean. Don't be mean. I think that a good rule on the internet is not to be mean.
I
Let's
mean,
stop this meanness
No
that
one
happens.
follows
I'm
that.
going to let you know right now. Anything that you say that is unproductive, I'm just going to glance over it.
If you hurt May's feelings, she will delete what you say.
I mean, so
I will
if
do
you're
that.
gonna, if you're going to spam me with a bunch of a little bullshit, I'm just going to ignore you, because if you can't say anything constructive, I mean, what good are you then? If you got a problem, then address the problem, bring a solution. I'm always looking to have people on. I love different points of views. There are other GMs out there, other guilds that have points of view. We are happy to bring it on in.
I have a question for that last question. What's the future of this show going to be? So, are we going to have a regular scheduled showing? Is it going to be hit and miss?
I think we want to do. We're going to try to be back next Sunday. I'm going to try to get. I think that next week we're going to talk 8v16. Does that sound like maybe? Or
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we had talked about
16?
earlier.
So I'm going to get. We're going to talk to Dilly. Maybe have some of our Dilly friends on, and then maybe talk to Severity and Carnage. What was Carnage and is now Adam. I don't remember the name of their stupid guild. We'll talk to 16 guilds, and we'll talk about pros and cons of 8/16s. Hopefully, Dilly next weekend, Friday and Saturday, we should meet on PTS for some sort of Sucka, like it's Hoth collaboration mashup. And maybe we can talk about 16 Dread Palace for you guys next week.
I think the name us or Dilly came up with was "Drop It Like It's a Fish."
No, I like,
Like it's a
Suck
fish.
It Like It's Hoth.
Suck it
I
like it's
suck it
suck
like it's
it like
on.
it's on. Suck it like it's on.
Because we want to make a PTS guild, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
make a good one.
So, for the next week's show, you should go and follow the Twitch channel in the title. It's where it'll be broadcast to rather than here. It's going to have its own channel.
Also, feel free to leave any questions on our forums that you might have for us. I'll take a look at them through it. We'll bring them in, and we'll be happy to answer them. I'm not afraid. You can call me out. You can tell us how much you love us, and you can tell us how much you hate us. So I'll be always happy. Just be aware, I'm not afraid of people. So I will be happy to call you out personally, and I'm always happy to have you with us.
All right, Donna.
I am. I'm always happy to have people on here with us, and they're allowed to
All right,
speak their minds.
We need our Canadian. Where's our Canadian?
So I'm going to throw this down to the Canadian. Kanuka Hooka, take it over.
All right, because that's a good idea.
Slamming job so far.
Yeah, I don't even know which one anymore. So next week, 6 o'clock p.m. PST, SuckaCast. They're decided. We're going to talk about it. SuckaCast, or what was the other one?
Swear to a fish.
Swordfish.
Or
SuckaCast.
fish.
Whatever.
Or a fish? No.
SuckaCast.
Suck a
I
cast.
prefer SuckaCast.
Alright, so SuckaCast.
Everyone in the world
next week.
prefers SuckaCast.
Alright, 6 p.m.
Thanks for tuning in.
Okay.
Probably the only one that prefers Swoltor fish.
Hugs and kisses, bye.